Good evening. We got a lot to talk about, especially as it relates to lower decks. A few badges more. But before we get into that, let's get started with our intro.
Welcome back.
Keith, give us that breakdown for us.
All right, this is the seventh episode of season 4 of Lower Decks. We start off with the crew of the Cerritos working on. Well, actually, no, sorry. We start off in the Kala system, which we visited at the end of season 1, where a ship is going through the wreckage, and this was actually the post-credit scene at the end of season 3. We see the tractor beam pulling up Rutherford's implant from season 1 with Badgey loaded on it, and it turns out that it's our favorite junk haulers, the Drugmani. And upon finding this item on the ship in the wreckage, they realize that this could be useful. But then Badgey in the implant takes over the Drugmani captain. Then we go to a Binar ship, Binars that we have not seen since season 1 of TNG. And first time we see one of their own ships, and we see person just dealing with they're speaking in their basically numeric computer language, and that mysterious ship shows up, and then there's the white beam of light, and the ship is gone. Then we find out that the Drukmani were able to find the wreckage, so Badgey starts to go to there to knowing that the Cerritos or someone else from Starfleet would be there soon. On the Cerritos, we have our crew of lower deckers minus Talin once again, working on a grappler on the front of their shuttle, because grapplers are cool, as established in Those Old Scientists in the season of Strange New Worlds. They tried setting it off and trying to grab an apple out of Boimler's hand, but instead it pins Tendi to the wall. She gets out as they head to a briefing where they're being set out on different missions. Boimler and Tendi have to go to Daystrom Institute on Earth, where Peanut Hamper is facing a parole hearing. Yeah, absolutely cold. We are definitely missing Talin. Peanut Hamper is being facing a parole hearing after her various things that she did back at last season. And of course, we also meet up with Agamus once again, who had previously tried to get one over on Boimler, but instead Boimler tricked him instead. And it turns out that Agamus and Peanut Hamper are friends and have been scheming. And Peanut Hamper was going to be less than genuine about her ideas about getting out of the computer prison that is the Daystrom Institute. And Agamus was going to try to trick Boimler into helping him escape. Well, back on the Cerritos, they go to the site of where the Binar ship was destroyed, and where they find the Drukmani, under control of Badgey, who begin to open fire. Because they have access to all Starfleet systems, he knows all of the different shield modulations, so all of their weapons just go right through the shields. And as he says, boop them on the nose. Back on Earth, you have Boimler decides to see where Agamus is going with his plan. He apparently has information about the Binar ship that was destroyed, and Boimler is not getting any info out of him. So he's basically going all along with Agamis's attempt at tricking him. So they get on the shuttle and head out, and Agamis had fooled everyone by turning his red lights into a blue light to show that he's actually a good computer now, not an evil one. But just as they're on the shuttle getting out,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you time it so that your blue light would turn on?
why would I do that? Then, of course, we get on the shuttle and he turns evil again and takes over the shuttle and it holds both Boimler and Tendi hostage. They go to Ecuador.
Hey, Mama's calling.
Sorry, they go to Ecuador where he was supposed to meet up with Peanut Hamper, but she's not there. But her trowel is there, so there's a sign that she at least stopped by. They try. They go to the planet that he had planned to subjugate, which they were able to do rather quickly. And Boimler knows he's being used, and he's just going along with it because he still wants the details about what happened to the Binar ship. Back on the Cerritos, Rutherford has decided the only way to stop Badgey is to sacrifice himself, so he goes against orders from Captain Freeman, puts on an EV suit, and jumps out the airlock, only to have someone grab at the last second, and it's Mariner in her own EV suit going along for the ride. They're beamed aboard the Drukmani ship, where Badgey is ready to kill the Cerritos crew as well as Rutherford watches. And then Rutherford says, I'm going to do what I should have done a long time ago. And he gives Badgey the biggest hug. And calls him his son and says he's sorry for not treating him the way he should have been. Badgey begins to crack. He starts to cry, but then he tears himself apart into pieces. Good Badgey, or Goody, or bad or Goodgy, or bad
Goodgy.
Badgey.
Badgey and Goodgy.
Badgey and Goodgy. So then Goodgy is back with Rutherford and Mariner, and they're trying to hide from the Drukmani, and so they're trying once again to appeal to Badgey. So Rutherford tries to appeal to his computer mind of it's not logical to kill the crew of the Cerritos, as he had taken over the Cerritos systems and flooded the ship with gas. And he realizes that it wasn't logical. So he stops releasing the gas, and then realizing, no, I still want revenge, pulled himself into pieces again, now creating Logicy, the third Badgey clone. So back with Boimler and Tendi, after being on the planet that's been subjugated, they realize that Peanut Hamper is not going to be there. Agamis is upset because he was ready to take over this planet with her. Since he's not there, it just wasn't as fun. So they then looked and tracked down where Peanut Hamper is gone, and it turns out she is returned to the station where she was built with her family. And so they then leave that planet and head there and find that she's back with her family. Agamis is convinced that she's being forced there against her will, but it turns out she had a change of heart while planning their daring escape, and that she actually doesn't want to kill humans anymore, and she just wants to be back with her family and just live a normal life. But she and Agamis still want to be friends, and they realize that they didn't want to take over a planet. They just wanted to be together. There's some harsh interrogation from Badgey's father, from Peanut Hamper's father, Kevin. But Agamis stands by and says, I'm just a friend and just a good friend. So finally, they were able to return Agamis back to Daystrom Station, in which he gives the details, something Jermaine guessed weeks ago, that the ships aren't being destroyed, they're being stolen. And he has pictures to prove it. Back on the Drukmani ship, with Badgey now in his most evil form, he is trying to connect into the Federation subspace system to take over every Federation ship, like we've seen in every other Star Trek show in the past year. And he decides that the only way he can truly get back at his father is if he takes over every ship, and then he can destroy all of Starfleet, all of the Federation. Then he will truly be in control. And just as he takes full control of every ship, they're all bathed in yellow light, he reaches the pinnacle of power and the pinnacle of knowledge, and he ascends to meet the great koala in the sky. It's of course after he killed Logic-E as well. So now the Drukmani are freed, the Cerritos is freed, Starfleet is okay. So Rutherford and Mariner return to the Cerritos with Guji, who is now being programmed as the AI for the grappler on their shuttle as they try again. This time only pinning Boimler to the wall, and then they all get out of there before Guji can turn into another Badgey. And that's it for this week's episode.
It's Gucci.
Speaking of Jason, all of these badgies, what do you make of it? What's going to happen?
Well. Let me just say that all in all, I kind of like this episode. They kind of woven like four things that have happened in 4 or 5 episodes all together. And I kind of like doing that. I kind of like the way they did that. I do want to see what's going to happen with Guji and are we going to see him later on? I'm wondering how he was around at the end of the episode with are there hollow emitters in the what are they in the shuttle bay? The hollow emitters in there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it'd be interesting to see what happens with Guji. And might I say that the writers are smarter than me because I didn't even realize the word Badgey had the word bad in it.
Right, right.
I guess you have to know how to spell to do that. But it's like, oh, that was fucking genius. They Badgey and they just put Goody. I thought they'd just do Logi, but I guess they did Logic-E.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this episode a lot. I like Jeffrey Combs as Agnes. He's just great at that. Like no matter what he does, he just still holds character. As even as a good AI, he's still holding character. Like he's like has a sinister laugh, even when he's not talking about anything sinister. Like we're gonna live happily together.
That's the maniacal laugh.
Right.
All right. We have someone new with us today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, all. My name is Anatom, and yeah, let's do this. First time here. Yes, I have been told I am a newbie, so please forgive me if I say anything.
I'm sorry, man.
No, that's okay. What were your thoughts about all of the different badgies that we got?
I love the fact that all 3 badges were in the color of metals.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, and bronze. And clearly we saw what gold does to bronze. It cracks its back and it's gone forever. And clearly gold ascends to a higher level of power. And all you're left with is silver. So I'm like, what are they trying to tell us here? Literally.
So have you sorry, go ahead.
No, it was kind of interesting also that Guji, the silver medal, stays with the Cerritos, the California class, second great starship. So it was kind of an interesting play on that.
That's an interesting take. I didn't see that. But that's why we have 4 people.
Yeah.
Different perspectives.
And
So have you watched all of Lower Decks?
yeah, I've watched all of Lower Decks. I'll be real. I was literally rewatching the entire season, the entire 4 seasons, like for the last couple of days, just nonstop, just for the sake of I love Lower Decks. It's just everything. It's the fan.
See, I find that interesting. I like that. And the reason why I say that because you said that you haven't watched a lot of TNG or a lot of DS9 or a lot of Voyager, and part of what I do love about Lower Decks, and I've said this before, is how many times they
Reference.
these older shows, even just the little things. Sometimes it's just a little thing in the background, and we notice it. So it's interesting that you still love the show without even noticing all these things, Easter eggs that we notice like every week.
I guess for me, it kind of just encourages me to be like, okay, maybe I should get more into it because it's like there's this life or this experience of Star Trek that predates Lower Decks, and it's like it's in a large universe spanning multiple years. There's no reboots; it's just one story told through different
Right.
periods of time.
Right.
Yeah.
Keith, if there were one series that he should watch to kind of prep him for everything that we're seeing in this, I guess, new Trek, which series would you recommend?
Well, I mean, TNG basically set the mark for what Star Trek has become since then. I mean, because it's the first one that at least tried to carry a story from one episode to the other. I mean, original series. I mean, Kirk had his nephew living with him and said, "You're live with me now." At the end of one episode, and we never saw him again.
Right.
So Next Generation at least tried to have a thread. Deep Space Nine took it to an art form, but TNG is definitely the good one to get you into understanding everything. And of course, new Trek, the current Trek, has tried to do different things. Both Picard and Discovery went strong into serial, while Lower Decks has basically followed the same flow that TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise did. So pretty much, just as long stay away from season 1 of TNG.
I was gonna say, it's so hard. It's so hard to
Halfway
tell
through
someone.
season 2 until season 6
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I agree.
of TNG is fantastic.
So I'm currently-
Although you do have to watch Encounter at Farpoint, right? And you do have
Yeah.
and you do have to watch Armis. You have to watch the episode of Armis just because
Arsenal. Oh, yeah. Skin of Evil.
Skin of Evil. Just because those are pivotal
But
episodes.
stay away from Code of Honor. Dude, forget that episode even exists.
Bro, stay the fuck away from Code of Honor.
We should make like a roadmap of the entire line of Star Trek of what we should watch, what we should avoid. Just
there are whole websites devoted to that.
Oh my-
Yeah.
Seriously.
But as a fan of Star Trek, I would still say watch everything. Watch every single thing.
No, you can watch it and then you can go back. You can go back and watch all of season 1. Once you've watched like 4 or 5 seasons of TNG, then you can go back and watch season 1 because now you have a love for
You won't feel disappointed.
right.
Okay.
Like what am I watching? It's I don't know, but it's still old TV. I don't know. It's like if somebody told you, oh, you got to watch the Gunsmoke, like you go back and watch something from 1960s. It's different television. It's not Discovery. It's not Discovery.
Prodigy.
What'd you say?
Prodigy.
Oh, you absolutely must watch Prodigy.
Speaking of, what's the news with Prodigy these days?
It was announced yesterday that Prodigy has been saved.
Nice.
So we have been hearing for months now. Well, they announced they were going to do season 2. Season 2 was well into production when they suddenly announced they were canceling it, but they weren't really canceling it, just that they were not going to air it on Nickelodeon and Paramount Plus. So we've known that they were shopping it around from the beginning. We just didn't hear any details. And basically what we've had to deal with since then, we had the writer's strike, we have the SAG-AFTRA strike, we have the streaming industry coming to terms with their own limitations, and we had Barbie. So that was just a lot that the entertainment industry had to deal with over the past 6 months.
What's the deal with Barbie?
And so, where has Prodigy landed?
Prodigy, as we've expected, Prodigy has landed with Netflix. The Hageman brothers who run Prodigy had worked with Netflix on Arcadia and several other series before they came into the Star Trek fold. So it was expected that that's most likely where it would end up, and that was made official yesterday. Season 1 of Prodigy, which has been off the air, was removed from Paramount Plus a couple months ago, only available on DVD and online purchase. Will be now on Netflix sometime before the end of the year, and then season 2 will be released next year, most likely in the spring once Discovery season 5 is over.
Now, this is my question. Do we think that it's going to be like a weekly thing, like one episode each week, or is it going to just release all at one time?
See, that's the thing. The Netflix model is to dump and leave it go. But they have been doing weekly releases on some shows. That may have been the sticking point as to why it took so long for Netflix to make an agreement on this. And one thing I also point out, there was another show that Paramount was shopping around, the Spiderwick Chronicles, based off a book series. They produced a whole series, a full first season with Disney Plus, and then Disney pulled out, and Paramount wasn't going to air it on Paramount Plus, so they were looking for. So while they were looking for someone else to take Prodigy, they were also looking for someone else to take Spiderwick Chronicles, and that was announced on Tuesday that the Roku channel picked up Spiderwick, and it will be released weekly. So Netflix may, since they have released some shows weekly, it's a high possibility that they will do that for Prodigy as well.
Okay. Now, and help me if I mispronounce your name, so I apologize. Anatom?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So out of the new Trek, this is me like moving away. Out of the new Trek, what is your favorite?
Strange New Worlds.
Good answer.
What about
Really?
Strange New
Right.
Worlds do you like?
I love Anson Mount. He's just
Okay.
He is really good. I would have to agree.
he
I
is
was gonna die from laughter if he said Spock.
Oh my God, Jason!
Anson Mount is him. When you saw him in Discovery for that one season, I mean, look how great he was, and it was like, we have to do this. Let's do this, and it's
Yeah.
just,
He was so strong in Discovery. They were like, we got to get us through the show.
Yep.
and it's like what we could have had of the original the TOS. What TOS could have been if they didn't reshoot that first pilot.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Well, that of course, Anson Mount's Pike has a big difference from Jeffrey Hunter's Pike, and of course,
Yeah.
we don't have the casual sexism that they had in the Cage.
true.
But
Casual?
yeah, I know. Casual. It was overt.
And it's kind
Or
of
TOS was overt sexism all the time,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I can't remember. I can't believe McCoy smacked that woman, boy. That was pregnant. Wasn't she pregnant?
Yes. Friday's Child. Yes.
See, all of these references, you're like, what are you what are y'all talking about?
like references I need to watch, but just like I think just for me, just seeing what the original series would have been in this modern age, just like it makes me feel like, okay, this is something I could get into, and then just the episodes of Strange New Worlds, I love it. I mean, I'm going to be real. I loved the musical.
Mhm.
Having Klingons dance to K-pop it stays in your head.
Yeah, I've downloaded the soundtrack and listened to it almost daily.
Jason,
Really?
your
Do you
thoughts?
really?
Jason, your thoughts?
I didn't care for the musical. That's just me. I just didn't. It was so it's one of those things where you do it and some people are gonna love it and some people are going to be like, what the hell is this? So that's one of those things, and you're gonna fall in one of those places. So that's all I got.
And I guess also for Strange New Worlds, I like the fact that it's like we already know what's going to happen to Pike, and it's like we have
We do.
our ending. We can now just tell the story. And
No, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Not that we know what's gonna happen to Pike. That Pike knows what's gonna happen to Pike.
Yeah.
Well,
You know what I mean?
and that was such a great scene in Discovery when he found out what would happen and chose to still let it happen. I mean, we went the whole first season of Strange New Worlds. He was wrestling with that choice again, and had to get a future shock to make sure he knows that was the right decision. But understanding that he had set himself up for incredible pain and suffering, not too far into his future.
Because that's the sort of thing that could turn a character into a supervillain.
Absolutely.
Doing whatever he can to avoid something that he's seen in his future. I mean, that's actually we haven't even seen that story before, right?
We've seen that
Except in books and Star Trek books, we've seen it. If you read them.
Well, no, we've seen that in other media. The most recent one I could think of is the Lightyear movie that came out last year, where you had the future Lightyear that turned evil.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, no.
Buzz Lightyear from Toy Story. They made,
Buzz Lightyear. Okay.
They made the movie that's within the Toy Story universe. And,
Yeah.
You need to only watch that movie once and never again.
yep.
Never again.
Yep.
But you do need to watch it. Like I haven't seen it.
Well, if you've watched all the Toy Story movies, yes, it's helpful to watch it.
Yeah, it's one of those movies. It's just I just can't. I had so many more expectations, and
It just wasn't doing it for you, huh?
it just wasn't hitting. I'm just like, no. And we are getting oversaturated with some Space Odyssey. Like we already have Star Trek. Like leave Disney, leave Space Odyssey alone, okay?
Speaking of Star Trek, I was kind of surprised that the binars. I don't know why I expected them to only have like 2 sounds, but they have like 4 because they were binars. I was expecting their language to be like extremely like binary, but it wasn't.
The sound for 0, the sound for 1.
Sound, yeah, whatever, yeah.
Well, it was interesting that when we first went to their ship, we saw 3 of them together. We saw
I saw that.
Right. And then the single rejoined their other.
I noticed that as well. Yeah, but I thought it was nice that we saw the binars. Just like, oh my god, I haven't seen binars in forever. It's nice that they brought them back.
For some reason, I thought the binars would have done something different than all the other aliens had done thus far. I just assumed that they would have, but they didn't.
They couldn't because they played the narrative where we didn't even understand what they were saying, but we didn't even know what they were saying because we already knew what was going on because it happened 4 or 5 times ahead of time. So they couldn't have them do something like different. We wouldn't even understood what they were doing.
Wouldn't have mattered. I just thought, with their big brains, that they would have figured something out quicker.
Mm-hmm. Well, we haven't seen them try to get the thing try to attack a Vulcan ship yet. But
I thought we did. It didn't do Vulcan.
No, it did Romulan.
It was Romulan.
It was Klingon.
They all the same to me. You know what I'm saying?
In Ferengi.
You're racist. You're racist.
They all look the same to me.
I'm just saying it could be Packlet. Just saying.
It could be Packlet.
It's like
I would be disappointed if they went to that well again. I mean, they've really gotten too repetitive with using certain storylines. And as I referenced in the recap, that we just had this storyline last season, and also in Prodigy, and also in Picard, with taking over all the Starfleet ships. Thankfully, they put an end to that really quickly.
Yes. So what about Badgey going 9.9? I thought he would have had to go 10.0 to be
in subspace, except Federation ships can't go past 9.9, right?
Well, he was on a Drukmani ship, who we don't. He can.
Oh well,
it has different systems, but now the first time we met the Drukmani back in season 1, they did not have weapons on their ship. What they were doing to attack the Cerritos was throwing the salvage at the Cerritos, using their tractor beam to throw stuff at them. So I was surprised when they actually had weapons, but then, Badgey probably built that or had them build that.
Or, I mean, if you're a salvage, eventually you're going to find weapons.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out how to tie them in, right? I mean, I don't know. But they, and Jermaine, in the episode Threshold, obviously they went 10.0 in Voyager.
Right.
And actually in TOS they went, didn't they go, but TOS doesn't count.
Yeah,
well,
it doesn't count.
The in-universe estimation is they recalculated the warp ranges after TOS.
Yeah.
Because they went way north of warp 10. And of course, in the TNG finale, they went to warp 13.
Did they?
So the Enterprise with Admiral Riker, with the one with the third nacelle, it went to warp 13.
I have to watch that one again.
I think they should just get rid of that barrier that
the only time it's come up like that is in that one single episode of Voyager, Threshold. Now, of course, Lower Decks has referenced it many times, They did it in the early in the season when they had the animatronic versions of the salamander versions of Paris and Janeway, and previously when they had the ship of Starfleet officers that had negative things happen, you had the salamander version of Anthony.
So anytime we're right now we're discussing things in past Star Trek. So what they've established is that if you reach 10.0 warp 10,
Mhm.
technically you could be everywhere. It's so fast that you could be everywhere at once
Right.
in the universe.
Mhm.
And it forced the person on the ship to evolve, and it had two characters evolve into salamanders.
Yeah, that was, man. You can skip that episode. Here, write this down.
No. That no. I'm gonna say you have to suffer through that one.
Yeah.
Everything about it doesn't makes no sense, but you have to suffer through that.
The thing for me now is I just want to run calculations because I'm a math teacher. So I'm just like, okay, what is my math brain thinking? What is warp speed? How is that calculated? What is this? Like, I'm trying to think of all the variables now. Now I just need.
Well,
Isn't it based off this is a question. Isn't it based off of the speed of light?
But warp
yeah,
one is the
it's,
speed
it's
of light.
exponential. Warp 1 is the speed of light. Warp 2 is twice the speed of light. Warp 3
Yes.
is it's exponential. So it'd be like
3
third
times the
power.
speed of light?
No,
That's
it's
not 3 times.
twice warp two.
Twice
So
warp 2. Yes.
warp three is twice warp two, and so it
Warp
grows
4 will be
exponentially
twice
like
warp
that.
3.
Oh, so it's to the power. It's basically a base 2 to the power of whatever its warp range is, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
So
if we're
warp 5 is twice the speed of warp 4.
right now, speed of light is how much?
186,000 miles per second.
1.6.
No, 186
186.
miles per second.
186,000 miles per second times 2 to the power of.
We're really doing this math right now?
Hey, this is what he offers. We're letting him continue.
I'm literally writing to work right now. 2 to the power of 10 is. Anyone who literally knows me knows I like to do math problems everywhere. So I'm going to be having fun with this right now.
Well, there are warp speed charts and calculators online that you can look at, and they give a pretty good rundown of all of this stuff. There used to be a Star Trek Encyclopedia computer program that I had back in the 90s that had a warp scale that you could adjust and figure out how fast you're going by speed. So,
But would Spock do that, or would he just do it by hand?
Fibonacci sequence
Fibonacci
right now, if you like math.
Is that what RN? If that I know what Fibonacci is, I have no idea what RN means. That means
Right now.
that's
RN means right now.
that's a generational thing.
We have time for
Oh my god,
before too. You know what?
Jermaine, do you not know what the Fibonacci sequence is?
Hell no. But while you do that, just a quick question, just to stay on a few badges more. We also saw the AIs in this particular episode. So Jason, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, man. We had Jeffrey Combs as Agamus, and we had I don't know who plays Peanut Hamper. We had Peanut Hamper, our
what's her
favorite
name?
favorite AIs from.
Heather Donahue is her name. Heather Donahue.
I find it so interesting that they, the two prominent AIs, they brought them together as scheming together to get away and be together and take over something, some planet or whatever. But they both had a change of heart, and I thought that was kind of cool because I did wonder what was going to happen to Artemis. And what's the other one's name? What's the purple one's name?
Tyrannica.
Tyrannicus or something like that.
Tyrannica, yeah.
That name was hilarious.
Tyrannikilicus. Lord Tyrannikilicus.
I enjoyed having them back, put it that way. Even after Peanut Hamper's exploits on the bird planet, which was like a bizarre episode.
Yes.
I still enjoyed having Peanut Hamper back and seeing what came about between the both of them. I don't know. I think just Jesse Holmes just like nails that character so hard. And I guess he does all his characters very well.
Yes. Yeah, going back to the very first episode he did of DC9, the episode itself isn't that great, but his character being his first one, he just plays it so well. And then of course we get him coming back. Then it's Brunt, FCA, and Wayoon, the various clones of Wayoon from
Who was the first
the
character?
what is the guy's name? Hold on, I'll get it for you. He was the guy that was in love with Kira and wanted a hollow Matrix version of her. Yeah, and it actually helped create one of the best meme images because you had Court trying to film Kira when she was out on the promenade, and you had Odo and Kira talking. They both turned and stared directly at the camera.
Okay.
Oh, let's see. Tyron in the episode Meridian.
I'm gonna look at that. Meridian. Write it down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
So
was the
Jermaine,
episode where Dax fell in love with the guy that she had met for only known for 5 minutes, who was about to disappear.
Jason?
what? Oh, I was gonna say the Fibonacci sequence is when you take a series of numbers and you add the number before it to equal the next number. So you would take 0 and 1 equals 1 plus 2 equals 3 plus wait, how's it go? 2 plus equals 5. I gotta write this down because I can't see it in my head.
It's 1. So it's 0, 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then I believe it's 7.
5. No, 5 plus 3 would be 8.
5 3
Plus 5 would be 13. I mean, plus 5 would be yes.
And the sequence just repeats itself. It's like 0. It's 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5,
13.
8, 13, 21,
Yeah,
34.
exactly.
Continue to go. So what we were saying is do it to the power of 2 to the power of 10, which is 1. That's ending at 1024. It's literally.
I majored in political science. This is this means nothing to me.
Well, that's how you get seashells.
This is what
That's
happens.
how you get seashells. Okay.
A little too much.
No, when you plot this on the graph, you get that spiral. You get like a spiral. Like every like a spiral has that ratio of the Fibonacci sequence. These ratios in nature has the Fibonacci sequence, like
And that
seashell.
creates not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
ratio.
has anybody missing Talin? Like what?
Yes,
they have not had
definitely
Talin.
missing Talin.
Well, one of who is it? Where
Colton.
is he? Colton. There we go. Colton is missing to Lynn.
Yes,
definitely.
And we even saw her old ship. We saw the ship that she was on, the Saval, when it was taken over by Badgey. So, the fact that we saw her old ship but we didn't see her was interesting.
Colton, why is that, Colton?
Why is that? And while you
I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird that they went so hard on her, like, and in the show, like
she's gonna save the day at the end,
and then they just
she's gonna save the day at the end. That's what it is.
He's working in the background trying to figure out who's responsible at this point, and it was like.
Speaking of, now that they have a little bit more information about what's going, just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit more information. What do we think is going to happen?
Well, I'll first admit I was wrong. I thought Badgey was the one behind all this stuff.
Really?
And if it wasn't Badgey, it was both the Agamus or Peanut Hamper. And they knocked all three out of it in one episode, as well as saying that Jermaine was right, because when we were guessing on this back after episode 1, Jermaine guessed that the ship's not actually being destroyed.
So are they just spitting out?
Yeah, Jermaine doesn't remember
random debris. Yeah. I do remember somebody saying that they're teleported instead of being destroyed. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Jermaine.
That sounds like something I would have said.
Yeah. Is that an Uhuru in your background? What is that?
Yes, it is.
Okay. You go, girl.
There we go.
Yeah, you got a whole different setup there this week.
Right.
It's been there a while, but it was you just couldn't see.
No, you were in a whole room before. Like you got like you got like shades
Marie,
up.
we miss you.
You got like drapes up. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Brown Hill. Brown Hill.
So,
Yes.
what in general? What are our thoughts about this particular episode?
It's one of my favorites. It's one of my. I like it a lot for this season.
It moved the continuing story along well. The only thing that was weird was not having Talin, but I thought it did pretty well.
You
And
all
we
have
only
a
have
hard
3
on for
episodes.
Talin.
Yeah, so
There's something about Vulcans.
Every ship needs one. Every ship needs one. It's the same. But like, I love this episode just for the fact that I feel like the lower deck crew, they're growing. They were in that meeting with the captain. It was just like, okay, they're yes, lieutenant junior grades, but they're like getting a little bit more responsibility. Boimler was a little less squirmy. I don't think he was really squirmy at all today.
I thought it was hilarious how Agrimus was just like, okay, take me to the ship, and then the Boimler was like, oh, whatever, dude. He's just going along with whatever Agrimus wanted the whole time,
yeah.
knowing that in the end he was just gonna like somehow try to get the information from him and put it back in jail.
So Marie believes that this particular episode was a hot mess and she didn't care for it.
What? See, I figured other episodes were just like, I figured there were a couple other episodes that they just felt like they were trying to move a character development forward, but not really focusing on the episode. I feel like this kind of did both, but it tied a lot of older episodes together.
Yeah, but I could see where she's coming from. That it seemed like, especially with the Peanut Hamper and Agama storyline, we kind of were given short shrift on them. Like, we didn't see Peanut Hamper's hearing. We saw Tendi going to it. We knew the prepare, and then she's out of it, and she's back home with her family. And there was a lot of missing pieces there that were left to guess and infer on.
So I'm wondering, because of that. Okay, so what we saw from the AIs was basically it seems as if they could be rehabilitated, and so I wonder if they brought this particular episode in so that in some way it could help save the day by the end of the season.
You think the AIs are going to save?
I'm wondering
the galaxy from the threat. At the end,
that's a lot of ships being carried away, and they need to be manned. AIs.
Should be, yeah. Trying to figure out who is stealing these ships now, and it better not be the Pac-Leds again. But
no, it won't be the Pac-Leds.
I mean, there was my backup theory of it being Section 31, because we did have that hinted last season with the death of William Boimler, the fake death for him to join Section 31.
What is PH?
Peanut Hamper.
Oh, okay. I'm terrible at
this
stuff.
Jason, you got to keep up with the lingo here, man.
I'm terrible with this. TGIF, I know that one.
Yeah, because that one's old.
By the way, how old are you?
49.
Anatol?
30.
You're 30?
Yeah.
So what was, refresh my memory, Marie, or anyone else, what was the Ferengi tie-in?
Well, the Ferengi last week, we had the Ferengi ship that was taken, and of course all the Ferengi now joining the Federation.
Oh, I like that episode too.
Oh, she's just talking about in general the storyline. Okay, got it. All right. I thought she was talking about today's episode.
Unless, I don't remember there being a Ferengi tie-in this episode unless I missed something. I only watched it twice. I don't know.
I didn't see it unless there was something in the background or whatever. I feel like if he knew their shield harmonics and he was shooting through the shield, that Cerritos should have been destroyed by the amount of hits that it took.
Yeah, that didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, we saw explosions, but we didn't see damage.
Right. That should have been like whole breaches, all sorts of everywhere.
Yeah. I know the feeling, Marie. Yeah.
Don't feed them after midnight. And don't, oh my God, don't let them touch water.
Exactly.
Don't get
That's
them
what I was
wet.
about to say.
Please don't let them touch water.
I don't know. Do you catch those references, Anatol,
Which references?
about
When I
Gremlins?
said
No.
don't feed them after midnight.
No, I don't.
He's gonna cry.
Okay.
That's not a Star Trek reference, by the way.
I know what the movie. I think it's from a movie, but I never
Yeah.
watched it.
Gremlins,
I think it's supposed to be
1984.
a remake. It's supposed to be a remake.
Yeah, they're looking to make another one. Yeah.
Colton, how old are you? I don't know why. For some reason, I thought you were like in your 20s.
Why are you asking people that age?
Well, he
Ages.
hangs out with William, and William's in his late 20s. So. Marie, it
Right.
happens.
We had one girl on the show, and they haven't been back.
That was your guess. What did he say? Like, really?
Actually, I haven't talked to him, but he said he had fun or whatever. But I haven't talked to him much. I haven't even seen him at work. Yep, they haven't even been back, so I don't know. It was a lot of sex talk going on that show, like more than usual.
Well, that was an episode that I dealt a lot with. Yeah.
Well, I mean, he didn't seem to mind.
No.
So, Morgan, it sounds like that's a challenge. You're younger and you're well familiar with Gremlins.
Yes, I am a young old soul. Oh my gosh, things I should know, I don't. Oh my gosh, if I told you the things I didn't know.
Well, did you grow up in Nigeria?
I was there for high school.
Oh, okay.
I was there for high school. Before I was born there, but came to America when I was 1. Then went to Nigeria for high school from 2006 to 2011.
Yeah, you're gonna hate Code of Honor.
What? Oh, Jason Freeze?
No,
That's a bad freeze for me.
Code of Honor. That episode I'm talking about.
Welcome back.
It just makes. I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it.
Now,
Races against black people and Africans, the like. Anyway,
yeah.
have a good
Even
time.
though I'm not as well versed as y'all, I do feel like I'm a little blessed in the fact that I get to experience all these for the first time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, you should. Yes,
and
you should.
Wonder and excitement, like embarking into a strange new world.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I tell you what, if you watch those, a lot of the shows that you love will be so much richer with flavor.
Right.
It's the spice of life.
Well, yeah, you go back and watch some of the older stuff, and then you can say, now I understand that reference.
So, okay. I have a challenge, and I will say challenge accepted.
Good deal.
So I'm looking at this chart, Keith, and it says standard orbit is 5,000 miles an hour? What is that saying?
Well, hold on, let me bring it back
standard
up.
Orbit on Earth
5,000 miles per hour is standard orbit, yes.
Standard orbit on Earth is
million
between
miles per hour
8 and 9,000 miles.
Yeah. You have to maintain a certain speed, otherwise you're going to lose orbit and crash into the planet. And escape velocity is 16,000 miles per hour.
Well, on Earth, it's like between 8 and 9,000 miles an hour, right? To keep orbit.
I'm not sure. I would guess it's. This says 5,000, and I haven't done any calculations on that to know. So. I'm not a math guy, so.
Yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts about this episode or what might happen in the future for this season?
I could definitely see what Jason was suggesting, that we might see the AI come back to help save the day in the final episode. Yeah. As far as the leaked names for episodes, next week's episode is called Caves, and that's all we know. We don't know anything more about it.
Okay, so it's called caves.
Yes.
Who could come up with an old a species that we have not seen on lower decks yet that we have
Well,
seen in Star Trek previous? Because they love to
ref-
put new species in there.
reference in the very first scene of Lower Decks, season 1, episode 1, on Second Contact, that I've been in a sentient cave. Yeah, you've ever been in a sentient cave? That's a cave that knows things. So this may be us finally seeing the sentient cave.
So, do you remember? It was the last episode that Wesley Crusher was on
Hmm.
when Picard was taking them to
Yeah,
wherever he
American,
was taking them to. So,
final
American
mission.
Indians. Is that the one
that
with the American
cave.
Indians?
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of caves in Star Trek because we had the cave from the final mission there in TNG. We had the cave from Basics, the two-parter on Voyager, where they got left on the primitive planet by the Kazon. We had in original series, you had the caves where Dr. Corby and his androids were hanging out. You had the caves where the Horda, Devil of the Dark, the Horda was attacking the miners. Caves are an easy set to build for Star Trek, and they have done it many, 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 many times.
You don't sound impressed at all.
Well,
Is this
what?
William? Oh, this is Marie
Marie!
with the no
Ma-
lights.
Mary,
Your mute is on, Marie.
We can't hear you, and we can barely see you.
it could not. Maybe it's not her. Somebody said her
Oh, it's her.
computer.
It's the Gremlins.
I recognize that door. And there's
Oh,
her nose.
that's her nose. I know her nose anywhere.
That is not her nose.
That is her nose.
I'm getting nose.
That is not her nose.
That is her nose.
No, that's not her nose. Okay.
Tension's building.
So, Keith, yeah, your thoughts about this particular episode and what it might portend for the future of this season.
Well, I mean, I kind of said most of that already. That I liked this episode. I liked that it really helped tie together a lot of dangling story threads from previous seasons. Yes, it was kind of a mess, but it's we kind of expect that from Lower Decks, that it's going to be a bit of a mess.
Okay. Anatol?
I jumping in with reckless abandon at this point, but I'm just loving how this season is showing our lower deck crew just growing up, because it's like we weren't even really seeing most of the first the whatever they're called,
Bridge crew.
the bridge crew. It was just them. It's like I'm loving it. I'm like, okay, maybe one of our lower deckers is gonna make that next step. I'm sensing a promotion at the end of the season.
So soon? So soon?
You know what would be interesting to see is having them interact with a new lower deck.
Well, we had that briefly. We had Ensign Gary in I Have No Bones, but Yet Still I Flee, when he came along on the mission with Ransom and newly promoted Mariner.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Ensign Livick in that same episode in Engineering, the Wonderkind.
And when Boimler was in charge,
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
and
But to have like a set of crew that you see like all the time, like just have them set, and then every once in a while they interact with. I think that would be interesting. So to have them see themselves in that crew.
Yeah, that would be awesome. As for me, I really did enjoy this particular episode. I mean, I do see what Marie is saying, Marie slash Keith is saying, but in general, I enjoyed this particular episode. It was moving, the pace of it was moving like really, really fast. I do agree. I believe it was Jason who said that it seemed like the story. No, it was Keith. Keith said it seemed like the storyline with the AI was kind of it was kind of like, like, where are you going with this? But I do like the idea that perhaps the AI will, be turned around, kind of like an evolutionary type thing. I like that thought process. It's in keeping with Star Trek.
I feel like I guess I don't feel that way because I don't always feel like. I know it's gonna sound weird, but I don't have to feel like it's always going somewhere. Where is this going? Like if you watch Quentin Tarantino movie like Pulp Fiction, right? And they're just talking and interacting. It's not really going anywhere. It's just things happening to people. So I enjoy sometimes when things are just happening and it's not a prediction of what's going to happen later about it. Sometimes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does make sense, but sometimes it's good to share your thoughts about what might happen.
Yeah. And one thing I liked about this episode, we have with animation, you have the budget is a lot different because you don't have to worry about sets and costumes and special effects. So there's a lot of things you can do in animation that you can't do in live action. And so if you do want to save money, a way you do it is you have voice actors do double or even triple duty. And we had that this episode where Fred Tatasciore, who is a mate, he's been in animation voiceovers for decades. He voices Shax. In this episode, he also was Lord Tyrannokilicus and the Drukmani captain. Then, of course, Jack McBrayer, who's Badgey, also was Gucci and Logici. So you have the opportunity. That's one way they can save money on animation. Is just you can have under the contract currently, you can play up to 5 parts in a single episode. So even with lower decks, you can see where they can save a little money here and there.
Okay.
Now it just makes me wonder: was this episode pre-strike or post-strike? Now I'm like, are we getting compensated for all these characters we're playing, or what's happening? I'm just like, we can strike on this one.
I'm sure they're working it out.
Well, everyone that's on the cast of this show is in SAG-AFTRA, so they're currently walking the picket line because that strike is continuing. In fact, the AMTPT walked away from the negotiating table late last night without counteroffering the latest proposal from SAG-AFTRA. So that strike is just going to keep going.
This is truly the darkest timeline. If we don't get
I would say if I live in those that are in Ukraine and Israel and the Gaza Strip, definitely. Yes.
That's the whole situation.
I'm gonna walk what I said back then, and it's like.
So Keith, I don't know if you covered it in your intro or somewhere in between, but what Easter eggs did you find in this particular show? And you're going to close us out.
Okay. Well, I mean, some of the things, there was a lot of references back to things we had in previous episodes. As I said in my recap, the grappler, which was we had that in Enterprise. They had a grappler because they were low-tech version of the tractor beam. And in Those Old Scientists, you had Boimler talking to the Enterprise crew about how much he loves grapplers, and Mariner progressively saying she does too. And of course, La'an loves grapplers. So now we have a grappler being put on the front of the Yosemite, the shuttle that they're building, and playing around with. You had, of course, callbacks to the end of season 1 with the Kala system where the battle was, and you had just there were little references with some of the AIs. One of the evil AI definitely had the CBSI logo on the front of it. Then, of course, there was also kind of a reference to Star Wars that the red computer is evil and the blue computer is good.
Oh, I'm surprised we didn't mention that.
Yeah. So yeah, that was like these lightsabers in Star Wars. And of course, the title of this episode is a reference to the Clint Eastwood movie, A Few Dollars More, which also was referenced in A Few Datas More in the TNG episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I was surprised when we found out the title ahead of time that I expected Badgey. I did not expect Peanut Hamper and Agamus, so that was a nice surprise. And of course, we saw the Instrument Institute again, which we first saw it in Picard season 1. So
we didn't talk about it, but I do like there's several references to the hey Biggie, several references to the blue light and the red light because you see that all the time. Red lights, besides Kit and Knight Rider,
Yeah.
that was a good red light AI, but you see it all the time. The red light is a bad. You had Hal, you got Battlestar Galactica. I mean, the list goes on. Anyway, we didn't mention the blue light, so it's good that you brought that up.
And also, Agamis's drones were very similar to the drones we saw in Arsenal of Freedom from first season, The Next Generation.
They were, yes.
The evil computer weapon system that was attacking the Enterprise crew. And then we saw a slightly different version in Discovery with Jet Reno's drones that she had on the Hiawatha in the first episode of season 2 when we had Pike joining the crew.
All right, and so I believe that's going to be the last word. Don't forget to kiss the subscribe button, click on the like button, share us on all your social media, nibble on the notification button, and make love to our senses in the comments, y'all. Until later, have a good one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to ever say it on the internet. Yeah, never. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Wait. There was a shadow of a church.
Okay. What?
William has questionable
I didn't
ideas
catch
about
that
what he
one.
puts. William has questionable ideas about what he puts on the internet.
Oh, I remember that episode.
Uh-huh.
I remember that episode. Yeah.
Wait. What? Wait.